The culture is actually damn good.
We're not urinating on fire.
You can stop asking that question. I'm going to be calling the defense.
What I talked to Russell about is none of your business.
Both games.
Welcome to Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. Instead of the feel-good, wholesome messages of a humanitarian, you get a selfish prima donna that is begging to get the hell out of his self-inflicted prison. It's obvious to anyone paying attention that Rogers has played his last game as a Packer. It might be because of his comments about Gutenkunst or going on Pat McAfee declaring that he wants to play for the Jets, smacking you with a 2x4 wrapped in barbed wire. Yet a move hasn't happened yet. Aaron is still a Packer, and he's getting very impatient. The Packers never talked to him about his needs and concerns, Rogers cries. But Aaron apparently never returned Brian's calls. At the end of the day, Green Bay's playing hardball in the most groan-inducing soap opera this side of Lamar Jackson. In Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, he has no interest in being your neighbor, because he wants to move to New York.
Green Bay Packers select Lucas Van Ness, defensive end, Iowa.
Never change, Green Bay. Dire needs at wide receiver for roughly the 5th year in a row, yet you go for an edge rusher and a draft chalk full of good ones for a few years down the road. Rashawn Gary's contract will be an issue and Preston Smith is aging, yes, but shit like this is why Wisconsin is frustrated to all hell with this regime. Ignoring the team's obvious issues for the sake of supposed long-term planning and endless trading down in the second round. And worse, picking a player who's dating the sister of Cole Kmet. If Aaron Rodgers were still a Packer, he'd be ripping people's heads off in the war room. Thank God they finally got that trade done so we don't have to hear about it anymore. As Brett Favre left for the Jets, Aaron Rodgers follows the well-traveled path. Holding the team hostage failed to bring about any sort of significant progress to the franchise, and they have to figure out what the hell they have in Jordan Love. How he's doing depends on who you ask. Packers fans, be it by cope or cause, believe in the connection between him and Christian Watson, like Aaron and Davante and Brennan Sterling before them. Chemistry is taking place in the Green Bay lab. Hopefully it doesn't explode like Quay Walker did last year. The Packers are a wild card. They still have the pieces to make a run, but there are more holes and questions that need to be answered than in previous years. The rest of the NFC North would love to see Green Bay squirm like they did in the 80s. But knowing our luck, Love probably keeps the generational QB chain rolling. What can I say? The gods love reruns. First off, I believe there's a repeat winner in the NFC East. Philly takes it thanks to their offense. Sorry, Dallas. The NFC North, I'm going to kill myself in the future for it, but I'm picking Detroit. I think the Lions do it this year. Think that's crazy? I have Atlanta winning the NFC South. The only other serious contender here is New Orleans, and I don't trust them to stay healthy. NFC West, all things considered, is Seattle's to lose. This could change if Bosa plays and Purdy stays healthy, so I have them in a wildcard spot. The other 2 slots go to Dallas and Minnesota. As I said though, the final spots are anyone's guess, and that's the majesty of the game itself. Enough talk. Let's get to the football. Bears fans are a special breed of stupid. I'd be too if I kept getting fed snake oil by the same damn shysters. You talk all this shit about how well you're going to do. You're gonna stake a claim in the division. You're going to finally upend your Lord Green Bay. We're going to eat our doubts as the new regime washes away the stains of old. You know, at least Saxonville accomplished something before their fans boasted to the heavens. What was it all for? A bunch of screen passes in both trenches being mauled? To get lorded over by Big Brother 3 hours to the north yet again? Aaron may be gone, but you sure as shit made Jordan Love look like him. I don't care what happens from this point forward, Bears fans are locale of the week. With all the bullshit that we're spreading for this to be the result? Good going, you fucks. You just made Packers fans infinitely more insufferable. I hope you're happy. Arthur Smith does not need to answer to criticism. The ends are more than justification to his means. His offense is eternally frustrating. They don't use Kyle Pitts as anything more than ornamental decoration, and his decision-making baffles the mind, but there is method to his madness. It may be an indirect result of what he does, but he walks in and wills his way. For 3 quarters, the Packers controlled an honestly sloppy game. Jordan Love was making the plays he needed to make, and they were up by 12. There's a reason why they call the 4th quarter the witching hour. Crazy shit tends to happen in such a time. Atlanta's newly sculpted defense cracked down on Green Bay. Only 7 yards surrendered in the final 15 minutes. If the offense can manage to do something with Desmond Ridder doing whatever he's doing, they'll manage. The good news for them is that they're facing Vanilla Joe Barry. His schematics are special. Yeah, let's just call it that. then add to it by going for it randomly in field goal range on 4th down to burn more clock. It works. The Falcons went from irrelevant to taking the lead. Green Bay responds with an illegal shift penalty. Game over. The Packers suffer a brutal defeat in a Falcons-style choke. Arthur Smith says nothing and leaves. There's magic afoot in Atlanta. This game can be divided into 2 arcs. First act, life with Derek Carr under center. The Packers are looking dead to rights under a suffocating Saints defense. Jordan Love can't muster the power to overcome it. Derek Carr isn't optimal, but he's doing more than enough to guide the Saints to a sizable lead. Rashid Shaheed and his dazzling open space speed will do that as well. But New Orleans will take what they can get. With it being 17-0 in the third quarter with no signs of stopping, this should be a breeze, right? That was before Derek Carr busted his transmission. An awful shoulder injury will take him out for this game and probably a few more. After he left, take Act 2. The Saints stalling out. As the offense can't do a damn thing as they abandon the running game and famous Jameis has issues with pass command, Jordan Love is infused with the spirits of Favre and Rodgers before him. Their guidance leads him to dissect a Joe Woods defense like a middle school science experiment. Brutal penalties giving up huge yardage. Crumbling on critical 3rd and 4th downs almost as if it were on repeat. I know what you're thinking. This is literally the same script they used for their choke to the Bucs last season. All this game did was reinforce how the Saints are to be treated with suspicion. Jordan Love looked like a playoff hero in the 4th quarter and allowed Lambeau to celebrate. They've scored 18 unanswered to take the lead by 1. Fortunately, the Saints managed to do something on offense. Field goal range has been reached, but can they strike with precision?
From 46 yards out, Rupe's kick is no good!
Prime Will Lutz, this kicker is not. Sometimes I wonder if Saints fans have just numbed themselves to all this bullshit. Their failure today has unleashed more Green Bay insufferability. I hate you more than you can imagine. Detroit's been waiting a long time for this. Fun fact, this interception was the most yardage the Packers would gain for a while. The Lions had special plans for arrogant older brother to the west. It involved beating the ever-loving shit out of them with the running game and their defense. Green Bay obeyed Highlander rules. There can be only 1 yard of offense in the first quarter. I'd make some lame drinking joke, but the average Wisconsinite has an ABV of around 0.2 in any given time. It's second nature. Just like Detroit suddenly owning the Packers in games they play with them. The Motor City all but ran over Lambeau both on the field and in the stands. Yes, Green Bay would try to come back, but like Quay Walker being an idiot, failure is inevitable. Meet the new masters of the NFC North. Dan Campbell's 4th straight win over the Packers. A new beast is emerging in Detroit, and it's one of superiority. This was one of those games where I wish we could just end both teams' losses and call it a day. Monday Night Football games this year are gonna drive Joe and Troy to Al's stash. This game wasn't lopsided, but sloppier than the average bar on St. Patty's Day. What I saw were 2 franchises that desperately tried to hand each other the win, but they were too honorable to simply take what was in front of them. We know of the Raiders' failure to do anything. They've been long cursed by Mark Davis trying to discover necromancy. Green Bay, even if they're without Aaron Jones, just look like shit. They can't do anything against a defense that was whipped by Kenny Pickett. The bar is insanely low, yet they couldn't reach it. What is it with Jimmy G-led teams and humiliating the Packers in front of their fans? The game may be tied in the second half, but when Vanilla Joe Barry's leading the charge, you're chucking linebackers and Devontae Adams. I forgot to mention, this is his first game against his old team. He and the Raiders might enjoy having a 4-point lead, but no one else does. This interception at least isn't Love's fault, it was a deflection. But neither team can do anything. Until Josh McDaniels happens.
All right, guys, the decision by Josh McDaniels is to try the field goal for a 7-point lead. 52-yard try by Daniel Carlson. He hits the upright. No good.
It's 4th and 1 at the Packer 35 with 2 minutes left. Your opponent has 1 timeout. Why the fuck are you kicking a field goal? You're not going up by 2 scores here, man. There are times to take the points and there are times to go for the kill. Go for the fucking kill. I don't even care that they missed the field goal. It's the whole idea that has me triggered. Sadly for the fans in attendance, Aaron Rodgers isn't their QB anymore.
4-man rush. Love. End zone. Intercepted.
Josh McDaniels is so fucking lucky Jordan Love was trying to play hero ball on that drive. Dude won on accident. Green Bay is humiliated. And considering that David Bakhtiari is becoming the modern Tony Baselli, it's going to be a long year. The Packers might not have a franchise QB for the first time in ages? Oh no! Welcome to the rest of the NFL. The GPS Bowl. It'll guide you right to the drink regardless of allegiance. No matter how you spin it, all you see are two teams circling the drain and well past their prime. There isn't excitement, there isn't dread, there's just nothing. Winning will mean nothing. Losing will mean nothing. It's spinning the tires just to check a box. And the Packers are looking awful against one of the worst defenses in football. They're doing nothing against it. And I get Denver has talent, but Justin Fields threw well against this defense, man. Broncos country is riding to nothing but field goals, so it's still manageable, but Green Bay has a shitload of issues. Mainly realizing that they're playing the Broncos and are down 16-3. Is Aaron Jones that vital to them or something? It should be a drop in production, but it shouldn't be this bad. Then they finally adjusted to Vance Joseph. In layman's terms, they used Ask Madden, dashing and gashing a porous unit to open the already opened floodgates, rumbling down to the goal line, and then on a 4th and 2 get the luckiest bounce in the history of man to take a 1-point lead. Somehow. In past times, the Packers would run away with an ugly win. Unfortunately, the NFC North dances on their grave. Denver gets to field goal range, and Will Lutz manages to kick a 50-plus yarder. Somehow. Jordan Love's mentality is to gunsling. And if he wants to chuck a ball deep into double coverage on a 3rd and 20, by God, I'm going to laugh at it. He's not anywhere close to Aaron Rodgers, and it was a terrible throw-in decision, but it's about trying. The Packers tried and failed miserably. This calls for some sushi. And Sean Payton doesn't even like sushi. Green Bay's gangrenous wounds are starting to fester. Aaron Jones may be back, but the Packers will once again experience something that hasn't been regular since the 80s. Failure. Consistent, pervasive failure. An offense that can't drive, a defense that keeps driving backwards, and a coaching staff asleep at the wheel. There may be pieces of skill, but there is literally nothing here. Nothing. This is a shitty football team. And today's results more than justify such a claim. Here's a consolation prize of Rashawn Gary being extended. Minnesota routed their foe with next to no effort needed whatsoever. A well-rounded win that should be satisfying to everyone in the organization. There's one major problem with this outcome. Vikings, you know finishing within one score of your opponent is the law. You have violated it. Now pay with your blood. Kirk Cousins, torn Achilles. This might be the last time he puts on a Vikings uniform. Even in victory, there will be devastating loss. Kirk was putting together some great performances recently, too. What a fucking brutal blow. Perhaps I gave the Rams too much credit a few weeks ago. Matthew Stafford's thumb injury is going to keep him out. That means you're fucked. When Brett Rippon's the insurance policy, there is no hope of salvation. The Rams are only to be damned. Apparently, they never told Green Bay that they were allowed to have some hope on offense as well. It was a comedy of errors full of slapstick, shitty football. The Packers have so many chances to put this team away, yet keep running themselves into a brick wall. And then fumbling the pigskin. Repeatedly. LA can't be one-upped in shittiness, though. They'll miss a field goal. They'll turn the ball over on downs. They'll throw an awful interception. You'll be gifted the win and like it, Green Bay. Their offense finally managed to wake up in the 4th quarter. But let us never forget how awful both teams look. I'm coming for you next week, Crossy. You will wave the towel. Packers fans, you may be confused as to why you have an extra loss, but the key is to never ask questions. Just embrace Steeler football. Fluke bullshit and convenient breaks are always the key. I'm shocked that both offenses are producing offense. 3 straight drives with touchdowns between sides? What did you do with the Matt Canada that I despise? Pittsburgh reverted to 80s smashmouth football and ran it down their throats. Over 200 yards of rushing. And the Packers couldn't stop it. Kenny didn't even have to do that much. He's in Terry Bradshaw game manager mode. That game managing also came from the high-end talent of an extra point block. Remember this play later on. Not to mention a so-called incomplete pass that looked suspiciously backwards. The refs received the bribe from Pittsburgh on time. Excellent news. What we have is a surprisingly competitive game where we expected ugliness. Jordan Love is picking apart the Steelers' zone defense with some quality throws, giving Green Bay a chance to win. And Pittsburgh exists. somehow. The black and gold up by 4, Love has a shot to steal the match and he's taking it. Until the ball lands right into the arms of Keanu Neal and the chance is dead. But then the Steeler offense returns, and one final chance has appeared. Unfortunately, the blocked kick is dooming them. They have to push with no timeouts, and it's down to a last gasp in the red zone.
One last chance for the Packers. Love throws, end zone, intercepted, and it's over.
I don't care about your logic or your fandangled stats. Steelers may be 6-0 in one-score games, and they're getting vastly outgained in every single contest. We know what this means. This team is going to the goddamn Super Bowl. I am sold on this fact. They are going to pull out all the bullshit because it is real, and Mike Tomlin is a voodoo priest. Don't lie to me. We know they're going to crush everyone by 3 points until they lose badly in the wildcard round. We are going to the goddamn Super Bowl. Let's fucking go! Panic time for both franchises. Two teams with higher aspirations than sub-500 play trying to recover from agonizing losses last week. Someone forgot to tell the Chargers to stop the agony. Any chance at success dropped like a multitude of passes. Dead serious, the receivers can't stop dropping fucking passes. It's cost them at least 7 points in the first quarter and allows Green Bay even a chance at glory. Jaden Reed will take that swinging door and run uncontested for an easy touchdown. You'd say that Joey Bosa would help out here, but more pain in Charger land. He was carted off with a foot injury. The way he was reacting, it might be long-term. Not to worry, though. Herbert will save his team like he always does, if only because a receiver of his can catch the ball for once. Begin the sheer brutality, where both offenses do everything in their power to stumble and bumble upon themselves. The Packers are absolutely beatable, but the Chargers keep self-destructing in the red zone. Keenan Allen is supposed to be sure-handed. Not in this drop for an easy touchdown, he ain't. Austin Eckler doesn't fumble the ball often? Good to know he fumbled near the fucking goal line in typical San Diego fashion. Points squandered at every turn. And all the Bolts can do is play catch-up with a touchdown. I'm honestly more stunned Keenan Allen caught a football for once. But it's here where that vaunted Charger defense comes to play. They allow Jordan Love to channel the spirit of Favre and Rodgers before him. Romeo Doubs jumps up and steals the lead away with a deep touchdown. The first 300-yard performance of his career, Lambeau celebrates along with him. Liquid LA responds with a coup de grace.
Herbert, there's the bump. Johnston can't pull it in.
Somehow I'm unsurprised when the Chargers keep shitting the bed like this. It's repeated nearly every week. Justin Herbert is the only thing keeping them afloat. The rest of the team breaks down and people somehow blame Herbert for it. Green Bay wins mostly because the Chargers chargered as always. 5 of their 6 losses within 3 points. The definition of pain. Soon enough, Brandon Staley's about to explode.
You can stop asking that question, okay? I'm going to be calling the defenses, okay? So we're clear. So you don't have to ask that again.
And hopefully you'll be calling an unemployment office in a few weeks as well. The Lions losing on Thanksgiving is an evergreen tradition. They've been winless in the sports ball era and it continued on. Detroit, infested with holiday cheer, paid it forward with the spirit of giving. Green Bay's injured to all hell and their defense has been maligned, but why not give Vanilla Joe Barry a solid performance from his unit? Jared Goff looking as sloppy as he did days earlier and the Lions asleep in the den again. Live by the cojones and die by them as well. A goose egg on 4th down all game. Even on fake punts at their own 23. Bad news, boys, you aren't playing Chicago. With the Swiss cheese on display, Aaron Glenn should only be at one location, and it's The Hague. His defense is guilty of war crimes. With how dominant they made Jordan Love look all game, all they needed was a Hail Mary, and it was as if Aaron Rodgers never left. Do I have to whip out the F-slur for the Lions? You know what? I'm gonna do it. They're looking like frauds right now. Their only win against a group over 500 was a Chiefs team that couldn't catch syphilis in a dark alley. The way they're running, they're more than earning another loss in the wildcard round. You handed Green Bay a shred of legitimate hope on a silver platter. Did you really have to give that grease fire of a fan base oxygen? The NFC North may have killed the man, but they have once again failed to kill the idea. That division had one job: to prevent Jordan Love from developing into the heir apparent to Aaron Rodgers. Over the past month, they have failed. Miserably. Jordan Love hasn't just refined his gunslinging abilities as of late, he's usurped the powers of quarterbacking of the franchise QBs before him. Kansas City boasts a strong defense that has quashed many great throwers. Against Love, no such luck. Dissected that ailing unit repeatedly, especially to Christian Watson. It's rare when the Chiefs are forced to try and keep up, but they just can't. Either stuffed in the red zone or Mahomes hurling an inexplicable interception in the fourth quarter. They just haven't been good enough. And the Packers have secured an 8-point lead. KC may get another chance, but the final drive must go to ref ball. This is unnecessary roughness despite Mahomes not being out of bounds. This isn't defensive pass interference. What I can only explain is a make-up no call. Isaiah Pacheco decided it'd be a good idea to punch a dude. And I'm over here beside myself as I have to talk about this shit instead of congratulating Green Bay for a job well done. 3 wins in a row and currently holding a playoff spot. We are in hell. Congratulations to the Packers on their future Super Bowl and years of playoff failure to come. The winds of MetLife are a strange beast. In a game where Green Bay had an unbelievable chance to not only solidify a playoff spot, but solidify their hopes and dreams, they're shitting the bed. What the hell is happening here? A team on the verge of a breakthrough only breaking every bone in their body. Is this the wind swirling through the stadium, or Wink's defense, or just shitty play? The only thing that's certain is that Vanilla Joe Barry's defense can't stop the run. The only thing saving their bacon is that their adversary is Tommy DeVito and the Italian Gabagoo. Enough bada bing to make it look like we're a side of marinara, capiche? Stereotype of a Packers showing deserves more than this. It's sloppier than a fucking 4-year-old eating pasta. Green Bay's got the lead at halftime, but it's far from over. Today's special, though. Monday night didn't just need one complete shit show. It had 2 of them. It would be awfully nice if Green Bay could stop being so incredibly sloppy with things. Packers special team selling games, it's like we're back in 2021. Hell, the G-men are begging you to take the game back, but the Packers offense suddenly gets love-struck with field goals. It'd be fine, yet Vanilla Joe Barry keeps getting the runs. Their defensive diarrhea's making Tommy DeVito into a made man. The modern Duck Hodges deserves an 8-point lead. Oh, the Packers will come back, we say. They can't just implode like this. But they absolutely can. Overthinking everything imaginable in the red zone, effectively slaughtering the drive in place. And then Packers special teams. Oh, joy. The G-men aren't even good this year, you know that? So why the hell is Green Bay suddenly treating them like they're back in their 80s heyday? Am I supposed to be satisfied Packers special teams finally did something good? It doesn't matter whatsoever, the Giants are running away with this game. It's gonna happen now, an incredible miracle of miracles.
Back-to-back big runs and still going. Tripped up and down inside the 20. The ball comes out. And for now, it is being returned by Carrington Valentine. They're letting this play go.
I should really just shut my mouth. Be perfect as Green Bay gets a bailout that makes the US government envious. They're nearing the goal line, but we've seen this movie before. Maybe they'll surprise me this time.
Blitz, end zone, catch made, Heath again. And the official that would make the call gets knocked over. Touchdown, Green Bay!
Thank the gods Jordan Love remembered how to throw a football. Only if they could have gotten a 2-point conversion. Another fuck up to add to the pile. It's now mission critical. One job is paramount. They need a stop, and the Packers defense buckles like me on the squad rack. Absolutely wonderful. They didn't deserve to win this shit anyway.
The win for the Giants.
Man, Green Bay really pissed this away in Europe. In one fell swoop, the rest of the NFC is cheering in delight. The 7th seed and its repercussions have been disastrous for football. The Giants and Bears are now 1 game back of a playoff spot. Both of these teams have been complete fucking trash this year. See what you've done, Packers? Now New Yorkers are buying into Tommy DeVito as their franchise QB. Memes are truly becoming more than dreams. There is some good news in all this bullshit. In addition to the endless opium spreading around the NFC, San Francisco is the first to secure their ticket to January. Rebuilding is a painful enterprise. The Packers may not be truly rebuilding, but the same principle applies. Only if they can manage to avoid the traps they fell into during the Aaron Rodgers era. No, the offense was far from the problem here. Jordan Love had himself a decent day. The real cancer is the terrorist overseeing the defense. Vanilla Joe Barry. If all of Green Bay had $1 for every time that defense gave up a 2nd or 3rd and long, everyone there would be a millionaire. All day long, the Bucs steamrolled whatever pathetic deployments were sent to allegedly stop something. They allowed Baker Mayfield to morph into a generational talent for one day. Baker Mayfield, a guy who had been owned here the last 2 seasons, is the first visiting player to put up a perfect QB rating at Lambeau. Over 450 yards of offense in a non-stop assault. That alone should have gotten Joe Barry fired 2 years ago, right? Perhaps they'll do something about it once they manage to stop a tumbleweed drifting in the wind. Or not give the Bucs a wide-open opportunity at a playoff spot. Well, look at the time. It's why haven't you fired Joe Barry at o'clock? Solidly performing quarterback and a team in dire need of a win to stay alive against the literal worst team in football. This should be a relatively easy recap where I make shitty jokes about how bad Carolina is for 30 seconds. Well, it should be, but I can have no respite from the horrors of bullshit. You see, despite Green Bay having free reign on offense against the bottom feeder, Bryce Young is cooking a 5-star dinner. Yes, Bryce Young. He who has looked absolutely overmatched in a system the ADL finds offensive and distasteful is looking like his first overall pedigree for the first time all season. We know damn well the domestic terrorist responsible for such a travesty. Vanilla Joe Barry's gifting endless presents to the Panthers offense. And it's allowing them to stay in the game, despite Jordan Love and the Packers crushing those before them. A 14-point lead just before the fourth quarter, Vanilla Joe Barry's on the case. Watch as he molds and calls for a train wreck on back-to-back crucial drives, endlessly surrendering yardage like it's nothing at all. And before you know it, the game's tied. Why didn't Barry get fired after last week's shit show again? He's the defensive equivalent of Matt Canada. Good news for Green Bay, you're playing the Panthers, so no one's really going to notice some of the questionable calls that go your way. Off to the red zone to kick a field goal to put it away. Joe Barry was eager to let his opponent get to field goal range and crunch, but lo and behold, they couldn't get the spike down in time. Allegedly. Once again, nobody's really going to complain since it's the Panthers and their fans stopped giving a shit weeks ago. Will the shit stain of Barry finally be thrown in the toilet? Probably not. This NFC North showdown is a tale of different trajectories. Green Bay, while suffering growing pains, is feeling the love thanks to much-needed steps in development. Minnesota's become Mississippi, yearning for Cousins. Things so awful on the quarterback front that they're chucking the Mormon miracle known as Jaron Hall back out there hoping for a spark. Well, they definitely got a spark. Set themselves on fire. The Vikings are just out of magic. And manpower. And anything that can stop a team like the Packers in their offense. Weakened and decrepit after endless injuries and destruction. That offense made Vanilla Joe Barry's defense look like the early 2000s Ravens. A Joe Barry unit. The same one that got torched by Bryce Young and the Carolina fucking Panthers a week earlier. That's all that needs to be said. Jaron Hall ain't it. He ain't even close. And it only means that they have to bring out Nick Mullins' fucking Chuck out from the closet. Unsurprisingly, it didn't do much of anything. The Packers lord over younger brother in their house once again. And thanks to a little help from Pittsburgh, Green Bay now controls their own destiny for a playoff spot. Then again, they had this fortune happen to them last year and they blew it royally. Let's see if they do the same thing again.
I'm calling both games.
Chicago, this is Judgment Day. Weeks of playing middling and self-destructing opponents have given them some confidence going into this match. A chance to upend the rival that has consistently owned them for years. This was their Super Bowl, and they failed miserably. A total cock tease that will get them mocked and bullied by their NFC North brethren for years to come. I'll say, for how unbelievably terrible Joe Barry has been this year, he did a marvelous job containing the Bears' offense. Although against that poverty franchise, anything green and yellow reverts back to the golden days. Chicago was hoping for Justin Fields to emerge as a franchise quarterback, but that hasn't happened to him. It was blessed to Jordan Love, the ultimate nightmare. The torch wasn't doused, it was merely handed off to the next in line. And Green Bay continually lords over their inferior adversary. Turns out the only thing they do up here is watch football because they're pretty good at it. Even in a supposedly rebuilding year, the Packers will still have success. The reward is a probable ass-kicking in Dallas, but they still made it regardless. The world was dancing on the Packers' grave. Aaron Rodgers took his hostage-taking act in New York for 4 days of darkness and 4 plays until darkness. Green Bay was 3-6 encircling death's door. And then the gods punished us for our arrogance. They blessed an incredibly spoiled fan base with yet another franchise quarterback. We were hoping his midseason struggles were the beginning of a long age of darkness, but it will be another long-term delay. Jordan loves doing this with a battered offensive line and injured wide receivers. This was supposed to be a rebuilding year, yet they still backdoored into the 7th seed that should not exist. Regardless of what happens from here on out, this season is a tremendous success. But despite this fortune, there's a terrorist in their ranks. For the Packers haters out there must be a yang to the yin. And that is Vanilla Joe Barry, the most wanted man in Wisconsin. His defenses are trash, his schematics are useless, and your quarterback is all but guaranteed to have a career day. Considering they're up against Dak Prescott, I have his over-under at 400 yards and 4 TDs. Enjoy your ass-kicking and learning experience, Green Bay. You had him. It was mostly because Kyle Shanahan keeps butchering a game clock and Brock Purdy missed a bazillion passes, but you had them right by the throat. But alas, the narratives must be maintained. 49ers treat Green Bay like the Packers treat Dallas. A back-and-forth affair took place and meme potential was truly glorious. However, we can't have 2 weeks of glorious laughs in a row. Going for it on 4th down managed to backfire on them because the Packers' special teams giveth, and they more than certainly taketh away. Matt LaFleur should have prayed harder. The coup de grace Vanilla Joe Barry finally returns to deliver soft-serve defense to San Fran so they can conveniently escape their own incompetence. As one final dagger, Love makes Wisconsin heartbroken as he pays homage to Brett Favre to end their season. As painful as the loss is, can't fault them for getting this far. For a supposed rebuilding year, this was outstanding. It deserves a reward. No more Joe Barry. Packers Nations won their Super Bowl.